Good afternoon. This is the host Michelle Padilla. I am the host of the awareness show. It is Friday the 14th, not the 13th. It's also National Pie Day and National Sleep Day. I have a special guest today. We're going to be talking about Titanic. And my guest is Nelson, and he has written a wonderful book about Titanic. Fun fact, Nelson, my birthday is April 15th. Titanic sank on my birthday, so go figure that one out. But yes, I'm born April 15th, and that's when Titanic sank. And Nelson is going to tell
It
us.
is. You probably get a lot of tax day jokes more
Oh,
than
I do.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a fun, it's not fun. So, Nelson, tell me about Titanic and why did you want to write this book?
Well, my name is Nelson Aspn, and I'm broadcasting to you from New York City, where I live. And I have been a lifelong Titanic enthusiast. And my new book, which it's my ninth book, but it's my first historical fantasy, and it's entitled Kindred Spirits, A Titanic Tale. And that is because after over three, oh gosh, how long has it been? I guess I would say it's been over 6 decades that I've been interested in Titanic. And I decided it was finally time to write a book about my relationship with the ship of dreams. And that was the nucleus.
And so here's a little other fun fact. During when it first opened up, that was 1997, we heard the Titanic song all through the movie theater, and it was just over and over and over. But it was a really good movie, and I love Titanic. And I watched the Titanic too, but it's more like sci-fi version of Titanic. And there's so many different versions of the Titanic. What is your favorite version of Titanic?
Well, it's very interesting because there are so many documentaries and films. You referred to the James Cameron 1997 one, which is basically a fictional Romeo and Juliet story set on the Titanic with incredible special effects and so beautifully produced that seems to be the one that most people think about. But my favorite of the dramatic interpretations in terms of films would be one called A Night to Remember, which was based on the Walter Lord novel of the same name. And the Walter Lord book was written almost like a documentary style. It was written taken from accounts of survivors. So it was recent enough in the history of lifespans that Mr. Lord was able to write the book. And the movie version, Night to Remember, is very loyal to the book. And for those of you that haven't seen it, you, in a way, have seen it because there are so many moments in James Cameron's film that are, I guess he would say, honorific. Or an homage to the first movie. We wouldn't want to say he was stealing from the first movie, but there are many shots and moments and images and that come directly from the first film and the book itself by Walter Lord. So if you want to start out your Titanic investigation, the novel and film, A Night to Remember, is a wonderful place to start.
I believe I watched that with my mom, and I think was it a black and white or was it colored? I can't remember.
No, I think they've probably done a colorized version by now, but yes, it was black and white, which sort of fits the mood of the time and the night. Would have been almost like seeing a black and white movie if you had been in one of those lifeboats or stranded on deck. There wasn't much color to be seen, and it's an interesting film in that it really sort of tells the hero's point of view as being Second Officer Charles Lightoller. And I think what's most fascinating about Titanic is that there was a broad cross demographic of humanity on that ship. There were the fabulously wealthy, the wealthiest man in the world, John Jacob Astor, was at the top of the ship. And then down in the steerage were immigrants coming from Europe and other places that were as poor and as penniless as could be, looking to start a new life once they arrived in New York. And it didn't matter when the ship was sinking, whether you were rich or poor, you were still in the same predicament. And the Edwardian custom of women and children first meant that your money, in most cases, didn't buy you a place on the boat. In fact, a lot of the boats, and we all know that there weren't enough lifeboats for all the people on board, but even so, not all the boats were filled because of this Edwardian adherence to uh, etiquette. No man will go before a woman. The only men that were supposed to go were to help steer and row the boat. And it was very interesting. Nowadays, that would never happen. Everybody'd be bashing each other over the head trying to get their spot on the lifeboat. But those who did survive did not, contrary to what you may believe, live happily ever after. They were plagued by survivor's guilt, and they were plagued by the trauma of the event. We now in 2025 are so jaded by explicit things that we see not only in movies but on the nightly news. We have a much higher threshold to violence and graphic images now than people in 1912 would have had. And the Titanic sinking was a 9/11 kind of event. It was earth-shattering tragedy. There had never been anything like it before. And everyone had had the hubris, the arrogance to believe that this marvel of modern technology, the Titanic, was in fact unsinkable. Man had finally conquered technology. Man would have conquered nature. No, we can run into an iceberg. Nothing bad will happen. We'll go full speed ahead. Nothing can happen to this unsinkable behemoth. However, we are constantly being reminded, even now, especially now, that we are flesh and blood. We do not have power over nature. every month there's a new disaster where nature wins
Oh, yeah.
or technology fails. And to me, the most glaring example is the recent submersible implosion of the tourist submersible that descended to the wreck of the Titanic
Yeah.
and met with disaster. And the guy that built that submersible was like, oh, yeah, I've done it a zillion times. It's going to be fine. There's no danger. Let's go down. Pay me $1 zillion for the privilege of some Titanic tourism, and we'll go down and I'll show you the wreck. Well, here we are 113 years later, and the Titanic is still causing death, and because we haven't learned the lessons.
I don't think we'll ever learn the lesson. That,
Well, that's our humanity, for better or for worse. We're just human beings, right?
that- So let me ask you a question, Nelson. There is rumors about a Titanic 2. Is that a rumor or is that a fact?
Yeah, I believe it's an Australian businessman with a lot of money decided he was going to build a Titanic 2. And I don't know if it will actually ever really come to fruition. They say it will, but they also used to talk about a Titanic tourist attraction in Vegas that would be like you could stay in the Titanic Hotel and Casino and probably take a Titanic ride. And I don't know. I don't think I'd like to have a 9/11 ride. I don't think I'd like to have a Challenger spaceship ride. I think some things need to be put in perspective. And the curious thing about Titanic, and certainly my book does the same thing. Uh, we look at Titanic with a romance that we don't put with other catastrophes. You would never have a romantic tsunami movie. It has a special magic, Titanic does.
Yes,
And
it does.
I, from a very early age, yeah, I mean, everybody loves the Titanic. No, they don't love that people died, but they love the story, the drama, the romance. the era, the lost era. And it is very romantic. My personal connection was through a series of dreams. I'm not necessarily a metaphysical person, but over the course of a lifetime, I had little coincidences, dreams, happenstances that connected me. Ultimately, I figured out who I zoned in on from the Titanic passenger list. And no, it wasn't Captain Smith or the unsinkable Molly Brown. It was a random first class passenger by the name of Milton Long of Worcester, Massachusetts. He perished on the Titanic at the age of 29. And
Wow.
I began to wonder, yeah, I began to wonder because his life was cut short and he was a man of privilege, young man of privilege, who had been vacationing in Europe, sort of lost from all my research. He had attended Harvard and Columbia universities, but never graduated. He was an only child, and it made me think he must have been lost, looking for something. He could have had a career, he could have married and had a family. So what if I could reimagine his life? What if maybe my life was, in a way, carrying the baton for him since his was cut short? And this became my thing for many years, where I thought maybe I was Milton in a past life because the clues seemed to be there, and maybe I'm picking up for him and giving him, because I have a fabulous life. My life is incredible, and Milton didn't have that same experience. Maybe I'm picking it up for him. And that's when I started to write the book. And it is a fantasy, historical fantasy, that we start out on the Titanic and we tell Milton's story, and he's rubbing elbows with all those famous figures that we identify with Titanic: John Jacob Astor, Molly Brown, Bruce Ismay, etc. But when he perishes, he comes wakens in the body of an extroverted, happy, flamboyant 29-year-old man in modern Manhattan. So we have an odd couple story set up. We have a repressed Edwardian and an extroverted modern day Gothamite. And these two souls have to find a way to coexist in one body and help each other grow and come to peace and terms. They improve each other's lives, and there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of adult situations, so this is not one for the kids. And yeah, I'm very proud of it, and I'm most relieved that the Titanic community. I mean, it's a great story. You don't have to be into the Titanic to enjoy this fantasy story, but I'm delighted that the Titaniacs, as I call them, also enjoy the book. So I certainly encourage everyone to check out Kindred Spirits: A Titanic Tale.
So is Kinder Spirit on audiobooks as well?
Not yet. It's interesting that you ask that because my previous two books, which will be a trilogy, the third of the trilogy will be coming out, Dancing Between the Raindrops, also very adult. I don't know when I turned into Jackie Collins, but hey, it's a living. Uh, and, but I've just recorded the first audiobook for Dancing Between the Raindrops, and people have been asking about Kindred Spirits. The tricky thing is, it's as I'm learning I want, if I were going to record it, I want it my voice, not somebody else's voice. I want to tell, it's my story, so I want to tell my story.
Yeah.
And until I have time to, I mean, it takes several days, maybe weeks to record these things. And in the meantime, they offer AI recordings. Like you can just, with the flip of a switch, your entire book can be recorded by artificial intelligence. And I really am resisting that urge. As simple as it would be to have it done, I just can't imagine the computer, no matter how talented the computer is, I can't imagine the computer doing the dialogue and telling the story with the same feeling and passion that I would do it, or any human being, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on AI. I have mixed feelings about that. So I don't
Hey,
know.
if it can save a life or do an organ transplant or, help the train arrive on time, hey, I'm all for it. But in this case, I'm afraid if AI starts recording my books, AI will start writing them.
Yeah, and take credit for it. No, thank you. Oh, so my question is, there's another question. Will there be a Titanic 2 movie with Kate and Leo? I've seen
Oh,
teasers about it.
Never with Kate and Leo. If you remember that film Revolution Road, that was as
Mhm.
close to a sequel as we're going to get, just because it co-starred Kate and Leo again, and maybe someday they'll do a version of the Gin Game or some other thing when they're senior citizens one far off distant day. But I know there was a Titanic. You mentioned it earlier, the Titanic 2 sort of sci-fi movie, and there was a terrible. I think it was both Titanic 3 and Titanic 666
Yeah,
to
and I
implicate
believe
the
I
devil. And
yes, you could
yeah, it was a horror
actually
movie. It was a ghost movie.
yeah, you could actually watch the Titanic 2 if it hasn't already been taken off in on Tubi.
Oh, okay. Well, there's, you know what? I'm not to despair. I love a good bad movie from time to time, but I don't think I need to see Titanic 2.
I actually watched the first half of it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's basically what happened.
I
So,
would rather just watch A Night to Remember. And there's, I think another derivative film for Jim Cameron's Titanic was the Barbara Stanwyck version of Titanic, also called cleverly Titanic, starring Barbara Stanwyck and Clifton Webb and a very young and handsome Robert Wagner. And it was the special effects for the day. I think it was in the early 50s, perhaps. But the special effects were really pretty good. And but unfortunately, it was a fictional
see,
set
I haven't
aboard
watched that one yet.
Titanic.
I have to look that one up.
Yeah, well, you should check. I mean, check it out. The special effects are good. If you enjoy the Titanic story, it's enjoyable. And Barbara Stanwyck and Clifton Webb were great actors of their time. And Robert Wagner, it's so fun to see. We think of him. I don't know. I grew up with him on the TV series To Catch a Thief, but
Yeah.
of course, modern audiences know him from the Austin Powers movies. So to see him as a teenager, so young and handsome, and it's amusing to watch.
Yeah, it's funny when I t talk to people. I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be 49," and they're like, "You don't look like you're 49." I says, "Yeah, I used to watch old TV shows, old movies, just like with my mom and all that stuff." So, I actually work in a department where we talk about tsunamis, earthquakes, mudslides, and so when I work from home, we watch earthquake movies because that's what we work on. It's earthquakes. So I'm like, okay. I can see where this is going. So my mom and I like disaster movies, although I don't know if she's a fan of Titanic. You know what I mean? You can only like,
Well, then my suggestion for you would be you and your mom should watch 1972's The Poseidon Adventure
oh, she
because
loves that one.
that's the one that got me into ocean liners and ships and consequently Titanic. And I still would rather I probably watch The Poseidon Adventure at least 3 or 4 times a year. Just when there's nothing else to watch, I'll just put it on. And I had a long relationship with the cast of the Poseidon Adventure as well, and I would have been about the same age as the little boy who played Robin, the young boy in the story. He and I were the same age, and his enthusiasm for ships mirrored my own. So when I grew up and became friends with some of the cast of Poseidon Adventure, we would go around to screenings and Q&As and autograph shows, and they would always say, "Oh, just pretend you're Eric Shea because you're the same age. Everybody will think you're him." I was like, "No, I can't do that." But it was just fun to be along and get to know those wonderful actors like Ernest Borgnine, Carol Lindley, Stella Stevens, Roddy McDowall, Pamela Sue Martin. And I'm actually, Pamela Sue, if you remember Pamela Sue Martin from not only from the Poseidon Adventure, but she was much loved from the Nancy Drew Mysteries. She played Nancy Drew. And Dynasty, she was the original Fallon. Fallon Carrington
Wow.
on Dynasty. And when I interviewed her several years ago, I requested to interview her on the deck of the Queen Mary, the ship
Oh,
that is now a museum and hotel in Long Beach, California,
yeah.
because the exterior shots of the Poseidon Adventure, of which she is in many, were filmed on the Queen Mary. So I thought it would be fun to interview her there. And she was a very good sport. And the fun of this whole Titanic ship degrees of separation coming up for this year's Titanic anniversary, right before your birthday on April 15th. Now I'll always remember your birthday. But the weekend before the anniversary, what is it, the 11th and 12th? 12th and 13th, I will be on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California for the Titanic weekend. And I will be there along with other historians, authors, experts for all things Titanic. So on TitanicWeekend.com, you can get all the information about that. And I'm really looking forward. I'll get to see old friends, meet new ones, and be on the Queen Mary, which is such a beautiful ship. Then I'll head to Los Angeles for your birthday.
Ah.
I will be at the Four Seasons Hotel in Los Angeles doing a book signing to commemorate the 113th anniversary. All these details are on my website, nelsonaspen.com. And then I head off on a book tour for New York, Baltimore, Boston, culminating in London and Belfast. And Belfast is where Titanic was built.
Yep.
And now they have the definitive, gorgeous Titanic Museum, Titanic Hotel, Titanic Distillers. The whole city of Belfast is, is a tribute to Titanic. So I'm really excited that I'm going to get to go there.
Well, I hope the weather will be nice for you when you go. So that would be kind of cool.
Well, that'll be in May. So it should, if you could pick one month out of the year to go to Belfast, May is a good one.
So Nelson, a lot of people ask how we started the awareness show. It's going on 13 years of the awareness show. And we started because I found out that I have a missing piece of a chromosome called 22q11. And as you can see, this is what my logo looks like. And then we got the chromosome going on. And so what I wanted to do was when I first started, my dad was my coach, and I didn't know what I was going to talk. So I had a lot of dead air. And we were like in Cal State Dominguez, and we were in the basement. So we had half of the show was no dead air. I didn't know what to talk about. And so we started to think of, okay, what can we talk about? So we started to come up with ideas like causes and events. So that's how the awareness is known for, is for the causes and events and resources, and to let people know about 22q11. So 22q11 is the second most common to Down syndrome today. It's to Down syndrome. It has over 200 symptoms. I got it by accident. It is diagnosed. And I mean not diagnosed. It is genetic. So we try to make people realize, and what and I end up doing is meeting wonderful people, celebrities, authors, you name it. And I've been doing it for 13 years now, and I love what I do with this podcasting. And when I found out about Titanic, I said I had to go for it because I love Titanic. Although the song, you can hear it over and over and over and over again. But it's been, I love Titanic. I did not like working in the movie theater when it came out because it was a mess, but now I can watch it at home, and we do watch Poseidon, my mom and I. She loves that, but she's not
Well,
really.
you should be singing the morning after then. You don't need to sing Celine Dion. You can sing There's Got to Be a Morning After.
There you go. Like I said, my mom loves disaster movies. She loves any kind of disaster. She'll pick a day, like Saturday, and say, "Hey, I'm gonna have a disaster day. Earthquakes, tsunamis, whatever." She watches all of that. But Titanic, I don't know. So I've actually been on the Long Beach Queen Mary a couple times. It's a beautiful ship. I'm from LA originally. So we now I'm here up in Sacramento. But yeah, I mean, with everything going on in LA with the recent fires, and then yesterday they had a tornado. Spe- Speaking of natural weather, so I'm like, okay, you guys are having strange weather, it's like weird.
For
So,
strange is an understatement.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to your book. So my question is, when is the book going to be, Kinder Spirit? When is it going to be out? And is it going to be?
Kindred Spirits is out now. It is out. It is available. You can jump on over to Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. If it's not at your bookstore, you need to demand it. And on Amazon, you can also get the Kindle version. So I know a lot of people are into Kindles, so that's there. My best friend has been on holiday somewhere in the Caribbean, and he was very frustrated because he forgot to bring the hard copy with him. And I was like, get the Kindle. And he sent me a picture, the classic beach picture with the feet up on the sand with the ocean in the background. But in his hand, he was holding the Kindle with my book cover on it. So the Kindle's, and it's a cheaper option. I think it's $8.99 for the Kindle.
Well,
And I,
I'm,
I love it, and I want to spread the word because if you, whether or not you like the Titanic, it's a great fantasy. It's an unusual love story, and there's a bit of a mystery. We have the two main characters have to solve a mystery. So surrounding the Titanic. So if you like history and mystery, and why haven't we made that rhyme before? History and mystery.
well, you should make it like like on t-shirts and stickers and stuff like that. Like get it out there besides the book, say, hey,
Mystery history.
yes.
Mystery history, and I did warn. I have to always give the caveat that it's an adult story. So this is not what you're going to be reading to kids at bedtime.
Yeah, that is
It's not
true.
that you wouldn't not that you wouldn't want to take it to bed, but you wouldn't want to read it to kids at bedtime. No, it's for the grown-ups.
Well, I'm hoping to get the book because I want to get you to sign my book once I get it. So,
My privilege and pleasure.
and I want you to come back on the show when you know, talking about your other books that you're writing, and I would love you to come back, and then hopefully I can kind of convince my mom to watch Titanic. I don't know. We'll see about that.
Maybe she needs to read the book first, and then she'll be like, "Oh, you know what? I got to give that Titanic another chance."
Yeah, maybe if she understands the book, then she'll say, "Oh, that's what I've been missing." Oh, okay.
Maybe she'll like the book so much, she'll call up some Hollywood producers and say, "You got to make Kindred Spirits into a movie, and we'll just have our own movie."
There you go. I did take a little break. I've been working so much, but like I said, it's going on 13 years in August. And who'd have thought I'd be doing podcasting for 13 years? It's been,
Good for
yes,
you.
yes,
I was looking at your episode list, and I was very impressed. And you do great work, and you rate that you do is important. And if you can do that at the same time as you're having fun conversations, then boy, that's the best of both worlds, right?
yes. And I have Harlan to thank for that. He is wonderful. And people ask me, how do you get these guests? Well, they reach out to me. They come on to the show, you know? So,
Yes.
and it,
I have known Harlan for decades. I met Harlan first through Mr. Blackwell. You may be too young to remember who Mr. Blackwell was, but he was the creator of the worst dress list in Hollywood. He was a he was a fashion designer who would rate long before Joan Rivers did red carpet coverage. There was
oh, I
Mr.
think I've
Blackwell,
seen,
and he
yeah, I've
was
seen
funny
images.
and smart. He was a real character, and I met Harlan through Mr. Blackwell. And between Harlan and me, we know everybody in Hollywood. And when I decided to write this book, I was like, Harlan, let's team up on this. And he led me to you. So that's a nice degree of separation.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I'm making a comeback. So it's been kind of a weird year here in 2025, Um, but I figured, okay, might as well make a comeback and see what happens because people have been asking me, when you coming back? When you coming back? I go, I
Well, good. I hope this was a good kickoff.
yes, yes. And
You can hear the
When,
you can probably hear the sirens in the background. You know I'm coming from New York City.
well, you can't see my background, but I have the capital of California in the background. So I work upstate.
Oh,
So
I did a book signing in Sacramento years ago. I really enjoyed my time in Sacramento.
you need to come back up here and do it again.
I might. I just might.
So where can they follow you? What's your social media post?
You can follow me all over the place. I'm at Nelson Aspin, NELSON ASPEN. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm on Threads, and I have a YouTube channel. And let's see what else. I found a very nice young operative word, young person to help me set up my TikTok account,
Right.
and that's the only place there was already a Nelson Aspin, and since my father is no longer living, I don't know who this other Nelson Aspin is, but I on TikTok I'm Nelson.Aspin. But I'm really having a struggle with TikTok. It doesn't come naturally to me,
Yeah.
but I do love my Instagram.
Well, I'm following you on Instagram, and you can follow me on iHeartRadio, the YouTube channel. We have Spotify, anywhere on social media. So look for the awareness
Oh,
show.
good. I should point out, you reminded me now when you said Spotify, I co host a podcast called, appropriately enough, Titanic Talk. And I co star with an actress from James Cameron's film. She was in James Cameron's film, and she and I teamed up to host this podcast called Titanic Talk. And we videotape it so you can get it on YouTube, but otherwise you can get it anywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout,
Yep.
all those podcast places. And we in the podcast community, yourself and I, learn what that's all about.
Yep.
And if it hadn't been for the podcast and expanding my Titanic family, the book might never have come about. So I'm very grateful to the Titaniacs.
Well, Nelson, I hope we can team up and make more awareness about your book. So if you need any promotion, let me know. And if you send any links or social media, I can post it on my page and see what happens. Let's make some magic.
Fantastic. I'm so grateful, Michelle, and it was such a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for the good work you do.
Well, thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful Pie Day and Sleep Day. So remember, it's National Sleep Day. Get your sleep on and maybe get a piece of pie or a pizza pie. I don't know. Stay out on the rain if you
Oh, yeah,
can. So,
pizza.
but our time is up.
That's it. Pizza for dinner.
There you go. And a piece of pie. Don't forget a pie. All right, Nelson, thank you very much. I will put this on Podomatic as soon as I can and enjoy the rest of your week. And don't forget,
All right, my dear.
the
Thank you.
St. Patty's Day is coming up, the luck of the Irish. So there you go. Going to Paris.
Erin go bra. There we
Yeah.
go. Erin go bra.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Nelson. Have a wonderful day,
Okay.
and I'll get it up soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Michelle. See you.